Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Awaken Heartist podcast. Today is July 15th. This episode is going to air probably about 2 weeks from now, but it is 2 days after we have launched the podcast, the thing with the words and me speaking. Yeah, that thing. I just wanted to hop on here and give a little thanks to everyone. So far, the feedback has been just awesome. I've made a couple posts on Instagram and on Facebook, but I just wanted to thank everyone that has responded to me or to Dain at the same time, all of you that have expressed your appreciation for especially like specific things. That means a lot. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I definitely have a much better idea now than I did before when I started this about 6 months ago. I know that Dain and I both have been learning a lot as we're going along in this, and you'll be able to tell too. Obviously, as we put the episodes out, things are going to change. I mean, we're like learning something new every week. I'm learning a lot about myself in this process of recording an episode. And I kind of want to touch on a little bit of that right off the get to give you a kind of an inside scoop, I guess, or a little background on this podcast thing and how it works for me, because I'm so grateful for all of you that are giving me feedback. And I kind of want to just get into what goes into doing this so that you understand that when you give me feedback, it helps me out so much, or us feedback, both of us. We feel the same way, Dain and I. Through this process, it's going to be, as the episodes go out and the show grows and the creativity continues to expand, it's going to be important for all of you to interact with us. It's a very big part of what we're doing here. I don't want it to be this isn't about me just telling everybody what the hell I think. That is definitely the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to give you a perspective that you can maybe gain something from. This process, just to talk about the process a little bit in recording a podcast, it went from like, I just sit in front of a fucking microphone and I just talk because I'm good at talking to people. And everybody in my family and friends would have said, oh yeah, this should be good for you. You don't know how to stop talking sometimes, so it's perfect for you. Then as I started to do it and actually try to record my thoughts, my mind starts to say, oh my God, I shouldn't say that. I should say it this way. And people they're going to start the judgment thing starts to come through my mind. And that was tough for me at first. And like I said, I'm 6 months in now. I don't give a shit as much about that as I did before. I've become more comfortable. I've realized through listening to myself over and over again and really paying attention to the way other people talk and listening to other podcasts and breaking down just communication in general, that people are full of mistakes, and especially when they communicate. And I am over that part of breaking down myself, trying to be really critical of everything I say and try to be super intellectual, I'm never super intellectual, but is just trying to be the smartest me or the best version of me for everybody to listen to. And that's extremely difficult and exhausting to try to sit in front of the microphone and break down everything I do. And I go through these and edit. Well, these mini episodes, I go through and I do a quick edit just to make sure that it comes across clear. So it's nothing really major, keeping them very raw at the same time. And then Dain goes through and he does a quick overall edit to get the levels and all that kind of stuff right. And when I'm doing that, it has taught me a lot about the way that I speak, how I communicate in general. And I've started paying attention in my normal everyday talking with people, trying to pay attention to these little things that I do that I don't like when I'm listening to myself when I'm editing. It's definitely helped me grow in my communication, which is something that I've oddly enough thought it was my biggest strength in my life, has become one of my biggest lessons. And that will definitely be a podcast on its own. Sitting here in my room in this little half-ass studio that I've kind of built out of an old armoire and some wood and a TV tray and it's not even a fucking dry erase board. It is a picture frame with glass on it that I use as a dry erase board with little Post-its on there with a bunch of notes. And I got a couple cool crystals around to kind of give it a vibe, and my sage and shit to kind of clear the energy, and just a couple of little routine things I do for within my beliefs. And yeah, I don't know. It's just pretty makeshift for the most part. And I'm cool with it now. I was a little weirded out by it at first and wanting it to be perfect, but this will grow, and one day I'll listen back on this and laugh and have a actual studio where I'm recording in. And, you know, I don't even know how much that will change. Maybe it'll just be a better vibe for me. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point in time. But at this point, I'm just really excited because the process, you know, back to the process, there's so many things involved in making a podcast work professionally and sound like a real podcast. It doesn't sound like shit. I cannot stand listening to podcasts. The audio is crackling and you can't understand the other person somewhat. I have a thing for noise is my just sound in general. I'm super easily irritated by a sound, like if somebody were to be in the corner just lightly tapping, and all this chaos and all these things are going on, but all I would focus on is that tapping. It's all I could hear. You know, it would just drive me crazy. So the slightest sounds drive me nuts. And it's very important for me, and I think will make me good at doing this because I pay attention to those little details and trying to make it the best for you as the listener to listen to it. Through this process, I've learned how to make a quality podcast. And it's only going to get better as time goes on. There's going to be tricks and things that I realize that I'm doing right now that I won't do later on, and I'll just get better at that. I'm kind of excited about to see that growing process over time of how the podcasts do change and transform. We kind of have a big picture. I mean, really, we do have a pretty good idea, Dain and I, as far as the big picture and the goals, what we want to do with the podcast creatively. And we're really trying to do something here that other people haven't done. I have yet to find it, you know, a format what we're doing. I had a hard time going through the platform that I'm using, Buzzsprout, and associating a specific category that we were going to fall under that just completely made sense. And I just struggled because it's so many things, you know. Culture and society made quite a bit of sense. But I mean, because I'm talking about life in general and my interactions throughout life. But I mean, grief is a huge part of it. My parenting, my gardening, my spiritual beliefs, I had bigger ideas on life. Culture in general would be a theme. If there was one category, it would be perspective and balance, you know, or perspective, balance, and gratitude are the three most important keywords to this show. This show is going to consistently grow and transform as time goes on. That is going to be what kind of sets it apart. There's no we're not following any kind of guideline. We're just going to be ourselves and kind of be funny and goofy and serious and deep and give you thought-provoking podcasts that you can feel. And, back to the gratitude part, this is just me being grateful, expressing my gratitude to all of you that have taken the time out of your day, because I know how busy all of our lives are. My life is, everybody I'm around, we all have very busy lives anymore. To be successful and to be happy in life, you must stay busy. And finding time to do things like just listening to a podcast, it can be very difficult. So I really appreciate that you're taking time to listen to my bullshit. It means so much to me. I really 100% want to say that I'm doing this. I want everybody to know that I really am doing this. I would love for it to be my full-time job. I would love to not tint fucking windows anymore and deal with all of that bullshit. I would love to sit here and tell stories and interact with people and, cross-reference some ideas and things like that. Teach younger people. I don't know. I have so many ideas of things that I would like to do that fit my personality and who I am and my strengths, that I hope that I get to express those things as time goes on. This is just one of them. But I hope that, the idea of this podcast is to reach people and give them a little something that they can take from each one of the episodes for themselves to kind of reevaluate maybe their situation and look at it from a different perspective, a more positive perspective, and give them a little more hope in a situation where they're kind of stuck in a hole. Because I have been there so many times and I still get stuck in those holes and little bouts of depression and things like that I have to battle with all the shit that goes on in my mind. But I find a way to climb out. And a lot of times it's because I'm motivated by other people's words that helps me climb out of that. And I hope that I can be that for people. So again, thank you so much. So far, those of you that have reached out, please continue to leave comments on the posts, through the stories, the DMs, through Facebook or through Instagram, or messaging through Facebook, all of it. Please reach out and let me know what you think, how the show has helped you or impacted you. Just even if it's the little tiniest thing, it means a lot. And it kind of fuels me, because this is what I'm doing it. I realized after I finally launched the podcast and started getting some of the feedback and some of the messages from people, that feeling of, hey, you helped me look at things in a different perspective, and thank you. I'm going to change the way I look at things from now on in this instance. And that feels so good to me. It is honestly the one thing, when I break down my life and what I want to do at the end of the day, like the one thing that makes me feel better than anything is being able to get somebody through a hard time, or help them climb out of a little hole, or just give them a little tiny, any bit of advice or anything. There's nothing better. And I think that all of us feel that way somewhere deep inside. I would hope, at least, but I know for me, I do. I genuinely just, whiskey's fantastic, but man, that feeling, that is such a cool rush that's different than anything, to be able to help somebody out, because I do know what it's like to be the person that needed the help and that little boost, or that little pointer, or a different perspective to kind of see things differently and move out of the funk that I can so often fall into. So I'm just going to wrap things up here before I turn this into a goddamn full-length episode, and say thank you again to all of you. And please continue to reach out, commenting on Facebook, commenting on Instagram, message me, Like the post, please share, please share the show with others, and follow, subscribe on YouTube. All of these things help out so much. And as stat driven as I am, I'm really trying not to pay attention to the stats behind the scene because I don't want to get too hung up on that. You know, it's good to know so far, if within 2 days, it's definitely exceeded my expectations, and I've greatly appreciate it. And so does Dain. I speak for him, I think, here safely to say that we both greatly appreciate all of your feedback. Thanks again for listening. If you'd like to learn more about me and my experiences, follow @AwakenHeartist on Instagram or visit the website awakenheartist.com.